OPEC has issued its world oil outlook today in Abu Dhabi, maintaining its view that the world oil demand will rise for another decade. The growth would be a boost for producers and OPEC, justifying continued investment in new supplies despite the growing role of renewable and electric cars. Tom Kloza joins us now. He's the global head of energy analysis at Oil Price Information, an oil price reporting agency.
Good name for it.
Right,
yes.
Good name for it. Pretty self-explanatory. Good to see you. So can you give us some more details as to why we're seeing an increase in demand?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing an increase in world demand. Really, 2021 was the major year for that, but we're continuing to grow. You have to look at emerging countries and think, what do they need? They need agriculture, they need mining, they need industry. And the product, unfortunately, that is going up in price and is kind of absolutely crazy on the threshold of winter right now is diesel and heating oil. We're looking at prices for those products that are $200 a barrel in the marketplace. And there's a real fear heading into these 30 days, which is kind of like a Super Bowl pregame show coming up between now and when the European Union authorizes its boycott against the Russians.
But Tom, I don't get this. For decades now, we've been hearing from governments and other voices of authority, we got to cut down. We need, we got to cut down on these sort of resources. We got to look to solar or whatever, renewable resources, clean energy. We got to buy more electric vehicles. I mean, it's not like they just started saying it last week. It doesn't sound like it's working or having that much of an impact. What are those on the other side of the argument, those that want us to move away from gas and oil? What are they saying?
Well, first of all, Anne-Marie, I would say that, in the United States, we don't tend to do things unless there's a crisis. So that is kind of the prerequisite for when we do some things. And, the fact of the matter is that in terms of BTU, units of energy, gasoline and heating oil and diesel are pretty good. They don't happen to be good for climate change, and that's only been taken seriously probably in the last 2 years. So this is going to be a battle that plays out this entire decade. We saw Europe probably last year try to make the transition to cleaner energy without having the necessary wind and solar there. And we're going to do it in the United States, and it's going to cost some money. But I think in the end, it'll be worth it.
So when does OPEC predict demand for oil will hit a plateau?
Well, I don't think you can ever listen to what OPEC predicts. They're always going to predict what they want to happen. I think we will see demand hit a plateau this decade. And we may see it hit a plateau very, very soon if Russian oil and Russian hydrocarbons remain off the marketplace. Watch that December 5th date. That's when European countries are going to be boycotting a lot of Russian oil, Russian diesel, Russian natural gas, and it may hasten sort of a transition to other fuels.
So while we have you, the diesel shortage that had the White House on edge last week is spreading. What more do you know, or do we know, about just how suppliers are trying to combat the shortage?
Well, we have I hate to use the term shortage, but we have an annoying problem for diesel right now. It's very, very expensive. And everything you ship, whether you ship it from California to New York or you ship it from China to California, it's going to cost a lot of money because diesel prices are about $200 a barrel. We can do some things. I think the administration can do some things. They can waive what's known as the Jones Act, which requires tankers to move things from the Gulf Coast to New York in only U.S. flagged vessels. They may actually act on something like that, which has been a sacred cow in Washington for probably the last 100 years.
Tom Kloza, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.